what's going on college campuses. Pull back the curtain and say, are you kidding? We're paying money for this. This is their plan. This is what they're doing on college campuses. This is what they're teaching college kids at $20, $30, $40, $50,000 a year, sometimes more. Matt, good to have you on the program.
Thanks for having me back on.
Always a pleasure to have you here. Down at the University of Michigan, one of the most woke places on earth. Apparently, the anesthesiology department is hosting a critical race theory, or they did on MLKD. Yeah, I talked about this earlier when I said you're going to be coming on. Look, I want my doctor to be competent. I don't care if they're short, tall, fat, small, black, white. I don't care. If somebody's coming at me with anesthesia or a scalpel, I just want them to be competent. Shouldn't that be the measure of what you want in a doctor?
Absolutely. I mean, I wish these medical students would have spent 2 more hours learning about anatomy or reading, latest studies on medicine instead of watching a movie about Derek Bell or a presentation from Derek Bell, who is a lawyer who created critical legal studies, which is kind of a basis of critical race theory or related to it. This goes well with at the University at Buffalo, actually. They had Cornell West come and talk to the surgery department about anti-racism. So now when you go to get your heart removed, you have an anti-racist surgeon and an anti-racist anesthesiologist. So this is a good match.
Right, because that's important. Right, because, again, that's the most important thing as to what the political leanings of my doctor. You know what the political leanings of my doctor mean? Nothing. Again, I need competence. People that can understand words that are as long as my arm. Words they haven't seen in 10 years and still know exactly what it means. That's what I need. And you mentioned it also there. Drug interactions, Matt. I need to know people that understand the drug interactions of different chemicals they want to introduce into people's bodies. If I'm on a certain prescription, does my anesthesiologist know how that might affect me? That's probably important, isn't it?
Absolutely. I wish medical students would learn more about all of the problems in the hospitals with, infections, with drug interactions, like you're saying, with people falling. I mean, I read things all the time about the really bad hospital practices, but yet we're reading Ibram Kendi, I guess, or Derek Bell. The thing about University of Michigan is that they actually, this is also mentioned in our article, they said they were going to have this diversity of thought forum. The dean of the medical school, Marshall Runge, said that. And then all they did is they invited a bunch of leftists to talk about, like, diversity and racism. And that was their, quote, like, diversity of thought forum. So I think it tells you a little bit about how they think over there, or not think.
Well, yeah, that's not thinking. That's taking, to me, it's taking the lazy way out. But maybe I'm just cynical here, right?
Yeah, I mean, these medical students, these are the same ones back in July. They walked out of a speech by a pro-life member of school's faculty, Kristen Collier, who wasn't even going to talk about abortion. She was just going to welcome new students through the white coat ceremony. So, this is the classic thing about, like, liberals want to hear about opposing views, right, until they find out other people have views.
Yeah. Why is it that this has become so pervasive? Right? Why has this become so pervasive in our society? I mean, if you go out there, Matt, you'll find that generations like mine, older than yours, but we accept points of view from all different directions. But all of this stuff, silencing of anybody who doesn't agree. Just because you cut somebody's tongue out doesn't make you right. It means you're afraid to hear what they have to say. I mean, that's the old adage, and that's a fact. Why are the leftists so afraid to hear other points of view?
I think there's a lot of pressure from a relatively small amount of activists, and then they're kind of bolstered by the media. No one wants to be called a racist, right? This has been the playbook of the left for decades. And now it's kind of getting into the medical schools, the law schools. And I'll tell you what, it's only going to get worse, to your point, because, for example, Indiana University's medical school is going to require faculty to, show how they're diverse and how they're woke as part of their tenure review. So, this problem's going to get worse because they're going to just keep weeding out anyone who isn't a leftist from the faculty because they're not going to have enough, diversity points on the board. They're not going to have done enough, Black Lives Matter activism or however you win points at these medical schools for your faculty reviews.
But we have seen some court wins. We've seen some professors that have been railroaded out, pushed out for, they didn't do this right or they didn't do that. We saw the National Hockey League go after one of its players because he said he was not going to participate in an LGBTQ event here a couple of days ago. And we see victories, and I feel like there maybe is a balancing coming, but I'm not on college campuses like you are. Is there a rebalancing somewhere? Do you feel like it's shifting back at all, or are we just down this one-way road to, well, frankly, to hell?
I think there's been some victories. There's been several professors who have won lawsuits when their school tried to force them to use a gender dysphoric or transgender person's, preferred pronouns. So there's been some victories there. There's certainly still great campus groups like College Republicans, the AF, Turning Point USA, Students for Life, all those that do a lot of great work on college campuses. And I think the more media attention from groups like the College Fix and elsewhere, sometimes that can cause a change. But the big area has been definitely free speech victories, because the First Amendment law, thankfully, is still very much on the side of free speech. Even Clinton or Obama appointed judges have generally been favorable to free speech on college campuses. So that is one place of victory in the past couple of years.
Well, free speech under attack in Davos, Switzerland this week, as you probably know, as the globalists certainly don't want free speech. They don't want to stop the practice of the FBI or the Biden White House or anybody else having a backdoor to the social media platforms to silence you, me, and everybody else. But I, too, am hopeful. I hear a bit of hope in your voice there. Matt Lamb, associate editor of the College Fix, here with me. I hope we can turn things around, Matt, because we need your generation not to be raised in a dark cave without information. We need critical thinking. We need people to challenge the accepted narrative. We need to be able to push back and have a conversation. I'll give you the last word.
Absolutely. That's why I'm so glad that we're able to train students every day at collegefix.com. Certainly we've had a few good stories the past couple of weeks about colleges. We've probably all heard of what's happening in Florida with Chris Rufo and the other DeSantis appointees. And so hopefully we'll see more in the public university sphere as well. Governors really taking the lead and working for, truth, pushing the classics, and returning education to what it's supposed to be, not just a left-wing indoctrination camp.
That's right. Matt, greatly appreciate it. The College Fix, they can find you online. They can find you on social media sites as well. Matt Lamb, always appreciate you being here.
Thanks for having me.
Greatly appreciate it. All right.